Hello everyone, welcome to our webinar on port competition. I'm Emel Aktas, Professor of Supply Chain Analytics at the Center for Logistics, Procurement and Supply Chain Management. Today I'm joined by my colleagues Ying She, AJ Deshmukh and Mark Reynolds to talk about port competition. Before we start the meeting, I just would like to remind you that our meeting is recorded. And if you have any questions, please write them in the chat to me. I will be monitoring your questions and I will be directing them to our panel towards the end of our webinar. And before we start, I'd like to invite my colleagues to briefly introduce themselves. Ying, would you like to say a few things about yourself and your research?
Sure, of course, Amel. Thank you. My name is Ying Xie, and I'm a professor in supply chain analytics in the same center as Amel. My research background is on maritime operation, shipping route optimization, as well as decarbonization, so basically developing green corridors. So I have been involved in many projects in collaboration with ports like Port of Felixstowe, Port of Dover, and Port of Thai, so many ports, and including Peel's ports as well. So it's a real pleasure to be here to share some research expertise with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ying. AJ?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Emil. Myself, Ajay Deshmukh. I'm a lecturer in freight transport in same center as the ML. My area of research is basically port competition. And in the port competition, my focused area of research is related to the port hinterland connectivity. So what are the impacts of the port hinterland connectivity is happening onto the port competition? So far, the focused case studies are I'm using with Indian container ports because it's like there are two different coastlines and they are competing with each other very intensively. So it's been 1.5 years for me in the Cranfield, and it is really a pleasure working with my colleagues in the Cranfield. Thank you.
Thank you, AJ. Thank you very much. Mark, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Emil. My name is Mark Reynolds. I've been in the port industry for 30 years now, worked a number of facilities in the UK, and I work in operations, but then I link in with finance, and I link in with procurement, training, so the whole package really. Couple of highlights from my career with Peel Ports is the Terminal 2 deep sea terminal, bringing that from a project into a working terminal, and also bringing rail freight from Peel Ports out to Scotland and to the Midlands. We hadn't had a train for 10 years prior to that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And just to say a few things about this webinar, like why we are talking about port competition. And you might have seen it in our invite that it is really a combination of cooperation and competition between ports, and where ports are competing usually for cargo, shipping lines, logistics services, hinterland markets, they also do collaborate in areas such as infrastructure development, sustainability efforts. So it's really critical to modern maritime logistics because we are now too interconnected for any single port to succeed in isolation. And in Europe, we have some examples such as the Port of Rotterdam and Antwerp cooperating on sustainability projects, jointly participating in EU research projects. And in essence, we observe that ports compete for efficiency and service quality, but do cooperate on global challenges such as sustainability, digitalization, digital transformation, and access to the hinterland. So on that note, I'd like to now invite Ying to share with us her experience and research.
Excellent. Thank you, Amel. Just to echo some of the points Amel have already mentioned, competition is very important for ports. Ports as national infrastructure, they face many challenges as well as many opportunities. So to stay competitive, we're also meeting various demands and requirements like environmental compliance, reduce carbon emission, achieving net zero, and operational pressures, etc. So competition allows ports to compete for those traffic flow, okay, and investment from major investors, but also cooperate where it can achieve multi-wins among multi-stakeholders. So for instance, in decarbonization, digitalization, or shared infrastructure. And may I have given you some of the examples utilizing the European ports, but actually between the UK and European ports, there are many examples of competition as well. Green Corridor, obviously, is an obvious example, how different ports across different countries work together to achieve decarbonization, reduce fuel consumption, and how different ports can collaborate and make joint investment in shared infrastructure like shore power or cold ironing, or even for hydrogen bunkering facilities. There are also ports that share anonymized operational data through a mutual digital platform to optimize their decision-making, to accelerate decision-making, to remove paperwork, for instance. So there are many benefits of competition for practice to enhance efficiency, achieve resilience, and make cost saving. But obviously, there are many challenges. If we utilize the data sharing as an example, we all know that data could be sensitive, and large corporate, like shipping lines and ports, possibly are not willing to share some commercially sensitive data. And how do we overcome those obstacles? By building up trust between competitors and collaborators, and also how we can introduce fair mechanism for cost and benefit sharing to align incentives where ports they differ in size, ownership, or strategy can work together more effectively. So there are many areas to be addressed. And so obviously in this seminar, my colleague Ajay and Mark from Pure Port can share more insight into those areas with you. Thank you, Amel.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this wonderful introduction, Ying. AJ, may I invite you to share your research with us?
Yep, thank you. I'll just share my screen.
Okay.
Okay, I hope my screen is visible.
It is.
Yep, okay, thank you. So I'm going to talk about the port competition current trends and challenges. So what is the biggest challenge in this current environment? Because the market pressure on the ports is humongous. In the market pressure as well, especially the shipping alliances. So shipping alliances, you can see that in last 10 years data. So shipping alliances from 2025 to 2025, the things is gradually changing. When the shipping alliances comes together, it's not only about that two companies or three companies are started operating in one place. It's about the capacity of their handling their overall volumes. So just imagine when the Maersk and MSC, two giant shipping operators, when they decide to operate their fleet together into certain geographical area, it increases the bargaining power at many folds. So when these shipping companies, they actually approach to any ports, in context of the bargaining power, the ports are having absolutely nothing in that case. Okay, so this shipping lines can actually put pressure on that, and it's related to the tariff, it's related to their service and many other aspects as well. So in such a situation, when the port really have to get the fair deal, it is very difficult for the single port to jump into that entity and try to get something fair deal for them. Okay, so this is not start from the 15 years. Even before that, the story have actually begun after the globalization. When globalization had started flourishing after 90s, many shipping lines have started working together, and it has started creating the pressure. The second aspect of the alliances of the shipping line, it also comes with the flexibility of the operations. Because when the shipping lines decide, like if they have to change their fleet or increase or reduce their fleet, it is very easy for the shipping line to enhance the overall capacity, because they can go for the new building ships, they can buy resale ships to increase it. But if shipping line decides to increase the capacity in terms of the ship, it is very difficult and very challenging for the port to adjust with that kind of infrastructure. So just to give things into the context, like, in 2025 years before, the largest size of the ship was close to like 8 to 10,000 TEUs. Now within the like 10 to 15 to 25 years, shipping lines have started operating the ships which are close to like 24 to 25,000 TEUs. So for the port infrastructure, it is very challenging to upgrade the overall infrastructure in relation to this shipping alliances. So therefore, in that sort of challenges, it is very essential for ports to come together and operate in this global atmosphere. Now, the next question comes, what are the other external drivers apart from market pressures? So this is usually in a very much theoretical framework. We can consider that the globalization pressures can be divided into three different parts. One is drivers, processes, and outcome. So what are the external and internal drivers for the port to actually come together and form the co-optation strategy? So as I had already mentioned about the shipping alliances, which is one of the largest pressure onto the port. Second one is a geopolitical dynamics. Now, it's very evident in current atmosphere, like you can see the global trade war is happening. There is a trade imbalance in multiple places because of the tariff issues. The trade has imbalanced in a large extent. So this creates a lot of pressure onto the overall port strategy as well as the port infrastructure. Second thing, when it's come to the industrial characteristics. So port as a separate industry, if you have to consider as a separate industry, the technological, digitalization, and the regulatory pressures are gradually enhancing. Because of the technological development, port also have to adopt a different technology to support their services. Now, if we consider have only single port, if the single port is try to do everything on their own, and if the port size is really small, it's very difficult for that port to upgrade the infrastructure and at the same time compete with the other ports that are on the same coastline and also face the pressure from the shipping line. So its individual port will not able to do that with the greater efficiency. So this is also one of the external pressure for the port to actually joint hand and collaborate with other partners to survive into the market. And the last one is related to the external pressure is regulatory and policy environment. Now, with the environmental or sustainability pressure, when they are gradually increasing in the different parts of the world, ports are also under pressure to upgrade their infrastructure, to reduce the carbon emission, to reduce the carbon footprint, and use the more environmental friendly energy sources. Okay, so to develop infrastructure, digitalization, as well as to cope up with the geopolitical situation and to face the major pressure from their upmost customer, that is the shipping alliances, the port should be come together and form a co-optation strategy to face with this kind of structure. Then there are some internal aspects as well. Within the internal aspect, market share is of course the one of the major thing. Like every port try to grab the maximum market share on the sea side, as well as they try to grab the maximum market share on the port side, that is on the hinterland side. So in the hinterland side, in related to the transportation, in related to the use of the inland logistic networks, port can actually join hand together, have a collaboration and use the similar infrastructure. Then there is a international expansion. Now you can see that multiple port operating companies, okay, they are operating into different continents. For example, Hutchison Port, DP World, okay, they are operating in Southeast Asia as well as in the Middle East and some part of the Europe as well. So to do the expansion into the different geographical region, if the port is having a collaboration with the geographical or local partners, it is always better for port to expand it in a smoother way. And capability enhancement and other internal goals. As I mentioned, in related to the capacity enhancement, when in terms of the inland transportation network and the transportation capacity or the storage capacity of the port, that can be expanded by collaborating with other aligning port with them. This and then the next question comes that what could be the process, like how the port has to come together and how exactly they can form this co-optation strategy along. This could be the very challenging area for any port because it depends on the port size, their customer base, their infrastructure, okay, and which geographical area actually they are dealing with. So 2 ports can come together. These are very much next to each other, or 3 ports, or within the one single network. So, for example, in Eastern in China, many big ports are actually having some kind of collaboration related to the environmental sustainability to operate in that area. So it's very much depends on the geographical zone and what kind of infrastructure is available and which ports are having what kind of customer base to come together and form the joint venture with each other. The most complex area is related to the outcome. So outcome, it can be a long-term outcome. It can be a very much short-term outcome. In terms of the long-term outcome, it could be an innovation that different digital platforms can be invented by collaborating with each other. The performance can be enhanced in port performance, or as well as your interline connectivity performance can be upgraded with this kind of collaboration. Knowledge, and the last one is a relation aspect. These are, in terms of only the management research, these are the two most complex area. Because just to put the things into the perspective, just imagine 2 ports are collaborating with each other, okay, and one port is slightly bigger in size in terms of the capacity compared to other port. So the knowledge creation through this process can be used either by both port, but if the single port is using that knowledge creation for their own benefit, it can have an impact on their relationship on the longer run. Okay, therefore, this overall port competition as a strategy has always been considered as a very delicate balance between the collaboration and competition. For example, if ports are competing also at a very high rate, and as well as if they're collaborating also on the many front, it is considered as the strong balance. But it can be the other way around as well. For example, in ports in US, especially the West Coast ports in US, they are competing on service, tariff, cost, and other aspect. But when it comes to the policy regulations or the policy related infrastructure, these ports are actually collaborating with each other. So this is the kind of like a very high competition area, but the collaboration is very low. So it could be considered into the phase B. So when 2 ports or more than 2 ports within the network, if they decide to come together and collaborate with each other, okay, for the mid-managerial level, it is a very, very complex task to actually execute this kind of collaboration. Because the major question is how much information you have to reveal and how much information you really have to secure. Because if you try to secure too much information, there could be a breach of trust, and this collaboration partnership could be break within a very short period of time. But if you try to give it too much information to you in this kind of relationship, there is a possibility the weaker partner can be developed within a couple of years, and he can be a bigger competitor into the market. So in the recent studies, especially in 2023 and 24, in the management science, it has been considered that it is very easy to make this kind of decision as a port cooptation, but it is very difficult to execute this decision on ground. And the third thing is to sustain with this decision for a very long period of time. So port as an industry, from my perspective, it's still in a trial and error phase about the cooptation strategy, because in the current atmosphere, the collaboration and competition activities within the ports are very limited because they're competing at high rate. The collaboration areas of collaboration, I would say, are very limited in the certain places. So this is related to the theoretical background of the port cooptation and what are the challenges currently into the market. For the practical aspects, I would like to hand over this discussion to the Mark. And Mark, you can take it over and you can share your slides. Thank you very much.
Thank you, AJ. I trust you can all see them, yeah?
Yes, we can. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you very much, Mark.
Just one second.
Mhm.
Okay, can you still see the screen?
No, screen share has stopped.
Okay, one sec. Are you still there?
We are here, but we don't see your slides.
Or 1 second, 1 second. Can you still see my slides now?
No.
Oh,
I think you just lost screen share while you were doing something. So if it's possible for you to go to Zoom and share once more. And worst case, I can also try sharing.
yeah, my Zoom is.
Yes, something started.
Sorry about this.
That's it. No problem. No problem.
Am I sharing now?
Yes, you are. Yes.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that, everyone. We got
No problem.
there
Thanks,
in the
Mark.
end. So I'm going to talk through the insights into operations, what the challenges are, where we are today, and what we can do to try and compete and calibrate. So today, shipping lines, the numbers have decreased over the last 20 years. 20 years ago, there's a lot of shipping lines. A lot of the big players brought into them shipping lines, brought them in-house. So there's a lot less shipping lines to have discussions with, to talk with. And then also you've got them alliances as well. So you're not just talking to one shipping line, you're talking to multiple shipping lines. And trying to get one shipping line into your facility is tough. Sometimes trying to get three is even tougher. Most of the shipping lines have had a port hub, a UK port hub for many years, and trying to get them to release from that port hub can prove very difficult. They're familiar with the terminal, they're familiar with the people, they're familiar with all the infrastructure behind that. So when you're looking to compete and gain business, you're not necessarily going for a shipping line, you're going for services, trying to get one service at a time, whether that be a Far East service, a North Atlantic service, or a European service. And then you've also got another challenge where shipping lines or subsidiaries of shipping lines, sister companies of shipping lines, are partnering and investing within the port industry as well. We've noticed that that's been happening in the Far East for a number of years, and it's slowly, gradually creeping into the UK. Another astonishing stat is that 90% of imported cargo goes through southern ports, and 60% of that 90% is destined for the end user in the north of England. I'm not sure what's happened here. Do apologise.
No worries. Like we see you changing slides, but it's between two slides you go back.
Yeah, there's about 5 slides there, but it's
okay.
Right, maybe it's just slow. Okay. So for Peel Ports to compete, We've built the second terminal at Liverpool. So it's a 2-port terminal, or a 2-terminal port, should I say. Peel Port's the second largest port operator in the UK. The £400 million investment into Terminal 2, the deep water terminal, and having experience in developing that terminal and bringing that terminal from a project into a live working terminal, you think you've got all bases covered, but when you do go live, you do find there's some teething problems and things you hadn't thought about. So Terminal 2 has got the capacity to handle 120,000 TEUs per month. It's a semi-automated terminal with the potential to be fully automated as and when the time comes, when the investment comes. It's ranked #1 in the UK for port-centric solutions. So warehousing on-site, warehousing within the hinterland. And it's got road and rail connectivity with links to major road networks. The natural hinterland is 3 million TEUs. So moving on. So to try and combat and get some of this volume into the north, we've partnered with Port Direct, which is a cargo owner alliance. So rather than just speaking to the shipping line, we speak to the end users, we speak to the BOCs, because obviously they want their cargo into the north, get the cargo quicker. Bearing in mind a lot of this cargo is just in time, especially when you're dealing with factories and waiting for parts, etc. So as we said before, 60% of that UK and Ireland market is closer to Liverpool. 18% of the market is in the northwest, and Liverpool only has a market share of 8%. So we do have capacity and the capability to handle that volume, and then that also incorporates the RSC hub. So at the moment, you've got feeder services coming from UK into Ireland, into Scotland, back to the UK, feeder in the cargo for deep sea vessels for onward travel into the Far East and Atlantic. So you've got the north to south 2-port strategy. So this is Liverpool into Dublin and Scotland. You've got the proximity UK distribution hubs, proximity to the UK warehousing. We've got the M62 corridor, the M57, where there's large warehousing already in place. And you've got simplified, efficient landside, boasting the one of the quickest turnarounds in the port industry at the moment. But supply chain decarbonisation, electrification of last 100 miles, asset utilisation between the facilities, and supply chain certainty, which gives higher customer satisfaction. So that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you. Thank you very much, Mark. Now, it's time for our audience to ask some questions, and we do have one question in the chat that I'm going to direct it to our panelists. So the question is the following. It's from David Kamash Daniel, and he's asking about the UK government. So how can different UK government departments, particularly those with arm's length bodies like the Marine Management Organization, play a strategic role in enabling co-petition among ports, especially in balancing regulatory oversight, national economic and environmental priorities? And the 5 UK government departments David has highlighted are DEFRA and MMO. Department for Transport, Department for Business and Trade, HM Treasury, incentives, fundings could be relevant here, and Department for Energy Security and Net Zero, like green port initiatives. So this is a big question. We could be here for another hour to discuss, but I would like to invite you to share your views about this question. Ying, may I start with you?
Sure. I can't comment on all government bodies, but under the National Clean UK Maritime Research Hub, we worked very closely with DFT and DESNIS. So basically that's the Department for Transport and Department for Energy Security and Net Zero. So these government bodies play strategic roles in defining enabling policies and standards, lowering barriers for cooperation. So such as the energy trading and mobility as service platforms, as well as investment. The UK Shore program, which is a government-funded clean maritime research program, has made significant amount of investment in supporting not only academic research in university, but also various corporates to develop various trial projects for collaboration. So they have funded several hundred projects. Some of them are, for instance, between energy company, shore power company, and provide their innovative technologies to ports or shipping lines to build either green shipping corridors or provide solutions for electrifying either equipment or vessels. They have also provided more fund to SMEs to help them accelerate their new technologies in maritime. Those include innovative digital platform and to enhance port as well as shipping lines to make more advanced decisions to track their shipping routes, etc. So they are definitely play very important roles from the policy aspects and investment. The other government bodies, as I said, I can't really comment very effectively, but I believe they possibly play similar roles in terms of policy and regulation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ying. AJ, would you like to share maybe your experience about this question from other parts of the world? Like if this has happened in India or other countries you have worked before coming to the UK?
Yes, it's just like, if you have to put into the broader perspective, this questions, okay, the question is related to the administrative collaboration amongst the multiple ports in the UK. Okay, so this Coopetition can be divided into the two aspects related to the port collaboration part, because one is purely the operational collaboration, and I feel that government bodies cannot be directly intervening into the operational collaboration between two ports. However, all this aspect can become under the administrative collaboration in this part. Because in the recent, before I joining in the Cranfield, when I was working in Sweden on the UN project, it is very much evident that the Swedish government, or for that matter, the Nordic countries' governments are trying to create a single common digital platform where the transport companies, not only the road transport, but as well as rail transportation, ro-ro shipping, short sea shipping companies, they can actually share their information related to the capacity and their overall carbon emission parameters onto the single platform. So what the governments are trying to do in these regions, they are trying to increase the visibility within the transport network. So similarly, actually in the UK as well, that multiple departments can actually increase the visibility by sharing the common digital platform with all the players. Okay, so that administrative front can be handled with joining hands with the multiple ports, but the technology transfer or the digitalization or maybe the common platform for the digitalization could be a very much complex issue in overall this aspect. What we have experienced from the previous research, like in certain cases, the major player, the big players into the market, they are slightly reluctant to share their real-time data with any kind of other organization. So because of that could be considered as the biggest hurdle in that part, if you really have to commit to the Coopetition strategy. But when it comes to the sustainability factors, Okay, I think the multiple government bodies can come together and they can actually create a joint platform where all the players can collaborate with each other to try to reduce the carbon emission as much as possible.
Okay, wow, thank you. Thank you so much, AJ, for this wonderful answer. And I'd like to now invite our expert practitioner, Mark. What do you think? What can the government do to improve co-petition between ports?
I think just touching on what AJ said there, I think that there's obviously needs to be an investment. We need to cooperate in the environmental thing with net zero. With net zero committed to 2040. And yeah, I just there's that's got to be the driver at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And then we have a question for AJ. So this is from Giuseppe Mussolino, and he's asking, do you plan to implement the competition cooperation matrix for a real case study of 2, 3 ports or terminals? So thus you can going from a qualitative to a quantitative approach.
Yeah, it's actually a very interesting question. And I'm already working on this coopetition strategy related to the real case study of Indian container ports, because in terms of the geographical region, India is having a very unique geographical structure of all the ports. So overall, the government is operating 12 major ports, and if you include the private ports as well, there are 18 operational ports are already there in India and handling close to 20 million TEUs, 19 to 20 million TEUs within 1 year. So in that approach, like various ports are located very close to each other, like very next to each other. Like some ports are having distance, if you take hardly 25 to 40 nautical miles. Okay. And these ports are, one port is operated by the government body and one port is operated by the private players. And there is huge competition between these ports just to grab the volumes. So now we are trying to create a framework where actually rather than competing on all the aspects, like tariff and service level and capacity and everything, the private port and the government port, they can actually come together to actually join hand on the certain aspect. That is what we are trying to identify in this process, because the similar type of study has been carried out before related to some major European port of Rotterdam, port of Antwerp, and port of Hamburg. So these ports are also located very close to each other. The related to the competition and cooperation matrix. Okay, so this matrix, creation of this matrix, it's slightly challenging because there are some subjective parameters in this one, whether like at which level the port really have to cooperate with each other. For example, multiple ports can come together and they can agree on the tariff. Like, okay, we will not compete on the tariff. That could be the really and very straightforward way of analyzing the cooperation strategy. But where it comes to the service level, okay, so what kind of services which port is planning to provide, that is also straightforward. But what is the service level of each port and how exactly they are planning to collaborate on those kind of service level, it is very challenging to quantify in that matter. But the initial step in this approach could be the first, try to identify which parameter ports are really would like to collaborate, for example tariff and cost, and which parameters ports are really would like to compete with each other, for example interland connectivity, logistic nodes, or inland services. So what kind of services ports are planning to provide, they can actually compete on this part. So therefore it can be converted slightly into the qualitative to quantitative metrics for this port competition and cooperation.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your answer, AJ. We have a question for Mark, and it's about, I guess, trying new things. So we have a new, technology, new idea to bring together ports for cooperation purposes, maybe to decarbonize and reduce emissions, improve efficiency. Could you tell us some practicalities of how this new idea could be trialed and tested in a port? Like that's already working, that's already operational, and then academics knock on your door, they say, we have this great big idea, can we please test it? So can you tell us a little bit how this could be put in practice. And if it cannot be, what would be the barriers we need to overcome?
Sorry, can you just start the question again? I just didn't
Yeah.
think.
We have a new idea, we want to
Yeah.
test it, okay? So this new idea could help you reduce your carbon emissions from handling containers within the port. But of course, there is a little bit of reluctance, right? Because you have an operating port, you don't want to disturb anything, you have your own technology, information systems. So what would be the way forward to try this new idea at a port environment without, I guess, compromising any of the current operation?
We're doing that regularly. Not we're
Excellent.
doing it for environmental stuffs. We're doing it for improvement plans. So just for instance, just trying to get that one box move an hour more, you might just do something with the automation. Obviously, you do as much testing as you can in the background, but at some point it has to go into the live operation. 90% of the time, you think that that's be okay. You've always got that 10% of uncertainty. But we're doing that with automation on a regular basis. We're putting add-ons in. We're putting new enhancements in. So the barriers behind it, sometimes it's people. People don't like change. People don't like if you do something on a manual based and you go into a more automation base, people get wary. People don't like change. So that's going to be the main barrier. But on the whole, we're putting improvements in. We're changing things on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, just to make sure we're on top of our game.
That's very encouraging to hear, Mark. Thank you. And I'd like to invite Ying on the same question. So, innovative ideas, introducing innovation to the ports. You have massive experience with a range of ports. Can you share with us what you have seen?
Yeah, like what Mark has said, port, I think they are looking for innovation. They're also exploring ways to transform their existing operations to make it more effective through digitalization, AI, and various automation technology, like Mark exactly. Some of the example I have witnessed are port are running this through pilot project, through phased projects. So they're running this in different phases by rolling different ideas. Some ports, like Mark said, they have introduced autonomous vehicles to move containers. Okay, they're running these pilots to make sure all of the regulations are followed, are strictly followed, and safety and safety checks are in place, etc. And I also worked with ports, container ports, in developing innovative container management, yard management digital tools. So what they have done is to try these tools on a group of containers in a specific terminal as a standalone application without causing interruption or disruption to their existing practice. While having demonstrated the benefits of utilizing the tool, they are gradually testing the robustness by changing various parameters and introducing sudden changes before fully integrating this to their operation system or TOS, terminal operation system. And what we have done as an addition to all of this is to run the same tool using different port cases to verify the robustness and scalability and also adaptability of the tool in different working environment. Because as a digital tool, different ports may process different types of data. It may require different pipeline of tools to process, etc. So basically running it in different ports and to verify the effectiveness of to help build up confidence for the ports to adopt this. I also mentioned the government investment in my previous question. So the government like DFT, UK Shore, Connected Places, Catapult, they are making massive investment in various trial projects to enable university research institution as well as SMEs to test and try their digital technologies with the real business environment. And under these trials, we have ports, we have shipping lines, logistic company as a trial sponsor, so basically industry sponsor. So I really feel that actually many government bodies have done a lot of work to support this whole journey.
Thank you. Thank you. That's excellent to hear. AJ, just checking, is there anything else you'd like to add to this question?
Oh, it's like Ying has already covered a lot of part of it. Just I would like to add from this operational point of view in this overall exercise. Because in this, there are certain current research are actually jumping into the cognitive abilities of the manager to understand the coopetition, port coopetition as a strategy overall. Because as I'd mentioned in my presentation as well, just forming the strategy could be very, very easy. So even the government can allocation a lot of funds on that, and the companies can decide to work together. They can have the good strategy in place, but the execution of this strategy is becoming so challenging because there is always a fear between two or more partners into the market. Like, if you're trying to share a lot of information with the collaborator, there is a possibility that you might be losing edge into the market. So, and if you try to reserve a lot of information in this overall process, you will not able to collaborate for a very long period of time. Therefore, before jumping into the collaboration practice or collaboration activity, it is very important to identify your objectives on the short-term basis and onto the long-term basis. Like how exactly would like to start. First of all, start trusting each other, and then how it exactly would like to share your data to expand this relationship beyond certain boundaries. That's it what I would like to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, AJ. And I'd like to now invite our audience in thanking me to our panel members for this wonderful webinar. It was extremely useful and insightful. Before we close, just checking, are there any final questions or comments? Giuseppe, I see you turned on your camera. Would you like to say anything? No?
Just a few words to thank you for the invitation. I work on this topic since several years, and we are working on a methodology to estimate, to make aggregate estimation of the effects on the competition and cooperation attitudes of two or more ports. So we are trying to find some possibility to work together with other research group in order to share some data and to better develop these methodologies. We have published a couple of papers if someone is interested. And so if there could be some interest, we can organize also a follow-up of this seminar or whatever I am available to cooperate on this item. Thank you again for the invitation. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you. Thank you very much, and enjoy your weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you in the next webinar. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.